So, a very good afternoon to all of you. Uh, I welcome you all in this tutorial live session number 4 for the course DC Microgrid Control Systems. We have already covered 3 live sessions for this course, and if you have any doubt from the last 3 sessions, you can ask. Otherwise, I will continue from the first question. If anyone is having doubt from the last 3 sessions, you can ask. Otherwise, I will start today's session. So let us see the first question. What is it? So the first question is, a 3-phase 10 kVA squirrel cage induction generator is driven by fixed pitch angle wind turbine. The generator delivers its rated power output at a wind speed of 12 meter per second. The generator is connected to an infinite bus. The line to line voltage at the infinite bus is 208 volt. The generator is driven at a rated wind speed, delivering its output at a lagging power factor of 0.8. So calculate the active power output. So this first part has been already discussed in the last session. So I think you were able to solve this question. So you can type your answer in chat box, or you can tell. So we have already seen the solution of the first part. So here what we have given, if you see it, we have given power factor, that is 0.8 lagging. We have already given the rated power of induction generator, that is 10 kVA. So we need to calculate its output delivering power. So you can write P naught is equal to S into cos phi. So 10 kVA into 0.8. So it comes out to be 8 kilowatt. So the correct answer will be the first option. And the next question we have, calculate the generator output current if the phase voltage is 120 volt. So you can try and you can type your answer in the chat box. So you can try this question parallelly with me. So you can try solving this question parallelly with me. So what we have given here, I mentioned this phase voltage. Otherwise you can also find this phase voltage from line voltage, that is given as 208 volt. Phase voltage is equal to 208 divided by root 3, that is 120 volt. So there are many ways to find the solution for this question. So you can apply any one of them. Like if you write P naught is equal to 3 V phase, we have already calculated the P naught cos phi. From there 8000 into 3 into phase voltage given as 120, and we have to calculate the current into cos phi. Cos phi is given as 0.8. So from here you will get the generator out current as 27.78 ampere. Otherwise you can also write it if you write this output power in the terms of line voltage, then you can write 3 VA root 3 VL IL cos phi. So 8000 into root 3 into VL is 208, and current, output current, generator output current into 0.8. So I comes out to 27.8 ampere. Otherwise you can find it through its apparent power. Like we know that S is equal to 3 V phase I phase. S we have given 10,000 into 3 V phase into I. From here we will get the same answer. Otherwise you can, if you write this apparent power in the terms of line voltage, then you will get the same value. So the correct answer for this question is 27.78 ampere. Now let us see the next question. So this question tells that which standard is recommended practice for the design of DC auxiliary power systems for generating stations. So this question is from the lecture number 19. If you have gone through the lectures of this course, you might be able to give the answer. So you can type your answer in the chat box. So one Trupti has applied has given the answer B. Anyone else? Anyone knows the answer of this question? So first I will tell you what are the different standards for DC microgrid. We actually have to follow that, so that we have there should be same standardization for all these DC microgrids and their power converters implemented DC microgrids, and the regulations we have to follow. So these are the following different standards that we have to follow for implementing for different applications, like EST-EN 300-132-31, that is specially designed for this data telecom equipment, and its voltage levels up to 400 volt. And if you see the standard Emerge Alliance DC microgrid, this standards is made for occupied spaces and data center, and this tells the recommended architecture and control system in DC microgrid. And if you see this IEEE 946, this standard is recommended practice for the design of DC auxiliary power systems for generating station. And what does this include? This includes normalization of the operation regarding batteries, example sizing, determination of duty cycle maintenance, and typical architecture of DC system, voltage rating of DC equipment. And if you see the standard IEC SG4, this one tells about the LVDC distribution system up to 1500 volt. We may have the means if DC microgrid is there, then we have DC buses. So for the range of this LVDC distribution system up to 1500 volt, so this standard should be followed up. So what does this tells? This coordinate the standardization of different areas, that is data centers, commercial buildings, energy, EMC, and reduction of natural resources. And this have to follow includes the life cycle of equipment, protection, and grounding. And we have another standards that IEEE DC@home. This one is made for DC powered house. So what does include? This includes a standard and roadmap of applying LVDC microgrid in residential houses, and evaluation of losses using DC power at home. And RE-bus standard, what does it includes open standard for clean power distribution relying on DC. So it operates along with the existing AC system, hybrid coordination of on-site renewable energy generation, 308 volt DC common bus with acceptable variation based on the status of source, load, and energy storage. So if you see these different standards, the answer you can easily find out. So in IEEE 946, this one recommends the practice for the design of DC auxiliary power system. So this one recommends practice for the design of DC auxiliary power system for generating a station. So the correct answer for this question is A, IEEE 946. Now let us see the third number question. So this question asks that which models aim to reproduce cell capacity nonlinearities from probabilistic methods based on the physical characteristics of battery cells. First option is analytical, B option is stochastic, C option is both stochastic and analytical, and D option is none of the above. So you can type your answer in chat box. I have also given this made one table which tells about different these are the important models of modeling of secondary battery systems: electrochemical, stochastic, analytical, and electrical. There are thousands of models you can find out for batteries, but these are the most typical ones. we generally used to see. Depending upon the applications, actually modeling of battery system is has been done. So what is the answer? If you read this slide, then you can, from the slide you can also get the answer. And what does this secondary battery system means? There are two batteries. Primary battery system is that is non-rechargeable. You have to just use and throw it after using it. And for the secondary battery system, you can charge and discharge like it is rechargeable type of battery. So secondary. So only one attendee is giving the answer. Trupti has given the answer B. So if we see the important models of secondary battery system, first one is the most important one, that is the basic one, electrochemical modeling. So it is based on the complex nonlinear differential equation that allows to reproduce chemical process within battery cells. These are the most detailed ones, but hardly implementable in dynamic simulation environments. And the examples of this electrochemical models is dual file model, and then and there are some other models also. And if you see a stochastic model, this model aims to produce cell capacity nonlinearities from probabilistic methods based on the physical characteristics of battery cells. So this question asks that part is only. So the correct answer will be a stochastic model. So, and these are also hardly implementable in dynamic simulation environments, just like electrochemical models. These are also not prepared to implement in dynamic simulation environments. And if we see the analytical models, these models aim to reproduce cell capacity nonlinearities using fewer equation and with a lower order than of electrochemical models. These uses less equations and having lower order that of electrochemical models. So these are the most widely used in dynamic simulations environments in order to predict the associated state of charge. So the examples of this model are Picot's law, diffusion model, kinetic battery model. These are the most important models comes under analytical modeling of battery system. But these analytical models cannot be used to represent IV characteristics. So we come this electrical modeling. So these models are based on electrical circuits which allow us to produce IV characteristics and also their dynamic responses. And some of the examples are ideal battery model and Thevenin based model. So let us see and if you want to read this modeling in detail, so you can go through this reference. This question is very easy and I hope you all were able to answer this question. Which wind speed reaches a point where the wind turbine is rotating at a dangerously high speed with the possibility of destruction due to centrifugal forces? Then the wind turbine is furled and the generator is stopped. And first option is cut off wind speeds, rated wind speeds, cut-in wind speeds, all of the above. You can type your answer in the chat box. So what will be the answer for this fourth number question? This ask about that when the wind turbine stop after reaching that speed. Otherwise, if it run at that speed, it will may get damaged. Hello. Yes, all of many answers were many were already answered. A, it is correct. So cut off wind speeds, or you can say it as cut out wind speeds, and the definitions I have already written here. So cutting wind speed, the speed at which turbine starts to operate and deliver power. Rated wind speed at which the system produces nominal power, which also the rated output power generator. And the most commonly used generators in the wind system are permanent magnet synchronous generator and doubly fed induction generator. And this cut out wind speed, the highest wind speed at which the turbine is allowed to operate before it shuts down. So the correct answer will be cut off wind speed. Now let us see the next question. Fifth number is when R.H. Lasseter of the University of Wisconsin Madison proposed the concept of microgrid in 2005, 2002, 2001, 2004. This is also a theoretical type question. You can give your answer through chat box. So the answer of the fifth question is when this concept of microgrid came, and the R.H. Lasseter of the University of Wisconsin Madison proposed this concept of microgrid. So the correct answer for this question is anyone knows this knows the answer of this question? Chandan Verma, Tasneem. So it was proposed in 2001. So the answer of this question is C. Now let us see sixth number question. A fluorescent bulb is rated at 60 watt with 0.8 power factor. If the light bulb is on for 24 hours, how much electrical energy is consumed? And there are 4 options. I think this type of question has already been covered in the last sessions, so you might be able to give the answer. Just try to solve this question. Question number 6. You can give your answer in the chat box. So its rated power is given as 60 watt and the power factor is given as 0.8, and this light bulb is on for 24 hours. How much electrical energy is consumed? You have to calculate. Did anyone get the answer? Okay, I got one answer. Purnima has given answer 1.44 kilowatt hour. So this one is a very simple question. So if we find out this electrical energy consumed, then you need to multiply this bulb rating into hours, and if you find it in kilowatt hour, then you have to divide it through 1000, then you will get 1.44 kilowatt hour. And we know that 1 kilowatt hour is the 1 unit of electricity, that is the basic unit for consuming electricity. I don't know, many of them are joining very late today. So this the answer for this 6th number question is C. Now let us see this 7th number. In the SPWM, the modulating signal is a square, sinusoidal, triangular, sawtooth. SPWM means, if you know this terminology, then full form of this term is sinusoidal pulse width modulation. Modulating signal means that is reference signal. We compare the reference signal with the carrier signal to get the required pulses to provide the pulses to the switches. So modulating signal, you can also say it as carrier signal, reference signal. So the correct answer for this 7th number question is sinusoidal. And carrier signal we usually take this triangular sawtooth waveform. Now let us see this 8th number question. This question is a little bit good. So given a rotor mass of 5 kg, a diameter of 0.5 meter, and it is spinning at 10,000 rpm, what is the amount of energy stored? 17 kilowatt, 71 kilowatt, 271 kilowatt, and D option is 171 kilowatt. So please all of you try once, then after 1 or 2 minutes I will solve this question. So fourth number question, Tasneem has given the correct answer. So you parallelly with me, you can also try to solve this question. This 8th number. So what we have given? We have given mass, you can denote it as 5 kg, and we have given diameter as 0.5 meter, and it is rotating at 10,000 rpm. So from there you can calculate this velocity in meter per second. In 1000 revolution per minute. So if you write revolution in a meter, then how you can write? You can write in 1 revolution we have 1 perimeter radius of circle. So you can write it as 2 pi into d by 2 we have that much meter per revolution. So revolution will cancel out, so this one get cancelled out, and you write this as 10,000 into 2 pi into d by 2, and convert this minute into second. So you convert minute second 1 by 60, that comes out to be meter per second. So you get the velocity in terms of meter per second. So here if you just put these values, 10,000 into pi into d is given as 0.5 into 2 into 1 by 60 meter per second. So it is coming out to be 261.8 meter per second. Now we have to calculate the energy, amount of energy stored. So what is the formula of kinetic energy? That is stored in the form of the amount of energy stored, that is stored in the form of kinetic energy. So kinetic energy you can write it as half mv square. So just put these values, you will get the answer. Did anyone able to solve this question? So I got one answer. Sorry, actually this by mistake I have written one thing wrong. Here I am asking about energy, so please consider this kilowatt as kilojoule. So you have to answer, means consider it as 17 kilojoule, 71 kilojoule, 271 kilojoule and 171 kilojoule. Actually what is the unit of power, and here I am asking about the energy stored. So please consider all these units as kilojoule. So now you tell the answer. I got one answer. Subha Sarmini has given the answer 171. That is correct. Half mass is given as 5 kg, and we have 261.8 square meter per second. So it comes out to be 171,346.79 joule. So it will be, if you write it in kilojoule, then 171 kilojoule. So the correct answer is D. So now let us go through the 9th number question. So here it is asking that which one torque control is used to maintain a certain shaft speed that is constant by increasing or decreasing turbine thrust. First option is braking, and B option is yaw control, C option is pitch angle control, and D option is all of the above. If you have seen this question from the wind power system, So Trupti has responded for this question. Can you please show the solution of 8th question, Ayush? So here, 8th question. Here is it. If you have any doubt, then you can ask from this question. So let us see this 9th number question. So in this question you have to find which one control technique is used to maintain certain shaft speed that is constant by increase. You have to, that is to maintain constant by increasing or decreasing turbine thrust. So these are the two important pitch angle control and yaw control are nowadays being used for these controlling purposes. So I will give you from this control, from these two controls technique, only one will be the answer for this question. So that uses the turbine thrust by to maintain the shaft speed constant. So there are, if you see, there are 4 types of aerodynamic torque control. 5 types, but this electrical torque, by varying the electrical torque, this is only possible in variable speed wind turbine. For fixed speed wind turbine, we can't vary this electrical torques, and that's why we can't vary this aerodynamic torque. So we generally this type of 4 types for this all type of wind turbines, like fixed speed wind turbine or either variable speed wind turbine. So in the pitch angle torque control, here we have given the first figure, and in this yaw control, if we see this, the theory of this control techniques, we will see in this next slide. And this stall control is nowadays being used, and for the braking purposes, like if we have more, if we just there is no electrical power, then mechanical, because if you see that is governed by swing equation. If electrical power is 0, then there is highly oscillating power, so the speed of turbine bent enormously high, so that we have to brake the so we have to apply the mechanical braking system to the stop the turbines of wind system. So if we see this pitch angle control, so the pitch angle control means blade angle adjustment. You have to vary the angle of blades to maintain the pitch angle of blade to achieve the certain rotor speed, and the purpose of the pitch angle control is to maintain the pitch angle of blade to achieve the certain rotor speed. And this pitch angle adjustment is the most effective way to limit output power by changing the aerodynamic force on the blade at high wind speed. And this yaw control means rotation of entire wind turbine in the horizontal axis, and this ensures the constantly facing into wind to maximize the rotor at a resultant power. And here I have shown this pitch angle. If you see, this alpha is the pitch angle. Like, first make the wind direction, and if the blade of the rotor blade is moved from the nacelle part of wind turbine, so if you calculate the angle from the wind direction and from the center of this is called as center of pressure. O point is called as center of pressure. So if you make this line from that is passing the center of pressure and the this nasal part of the wind turbine, so you will see this uh, angle as alpha angle. And now if you see this beta angle, that comes into the stall control. So the stall control nowadays it is being not used, and this is the most common on early turbines, that is up to about 1990s. So in aerodynamics, the amount of incline relative to the wind is called the angle of attack. An increase in this angle increases the amount of lift, but only up to a point. So this point is called the stall angle. So beta is the stall angle of attack. So the horizontal line that is passing through the center of pressure and this wind direction, so we take this angle as angle of attack. If you increase this angle beyond a certain point, then that angle is called the stall angle. And what is this brake? So during load shedding, electrical power is 0. If you go through this equation, then if you make this electrical power as 0, then a speed is dangerously high, that is accelerating power comes to very high, so it must be stopped by using some mechanical brakes. So that is braking system. And here the pitch angle control and yaw control, this control and this control is the most important one, and you have to know about this control techniques. And this pitch angle control means that you have to adjust the wind angle, and yaw control means that you have to just rotate the entire wind turbine in the horizontal axis, so that you can get the maximum power extraction from the wind turbine. So for the turbine thrust, by increasing or decreasing turbine thrust, we use this pitch angle control to maintain the certain shaft speed. So the correct answer for this question is C option. From this figure you can easily see that what this pitch angle control means and what the yaw control means. Pitch angle means that you are varying the blade angle of the wind turbine, and this yaw control means you are adjusting the entire wind turbine in the horizontal axis, so that you can extract the maximum power. Means suppose that the wind is blowing in the other direction, so in which direction the wind turbine should face that, so that extract maximum power, so that you should shift this entire wind turbine in the horizontally direction, so such that you can extract the maximum power output from it. So now let us see this 10th number question. In voltage source inverters, the amplitude of the output voltage is, first option is dependent on the load, dependent only on loads, and independent of the load, and is none of the above mentioned. I think you might have already know this answer of this question. So you can type your answer in the chat box. Chandan Verma and this Trupti has responded for this question. This question is very simple. In voltage source inverter, the amplitude of output voltage, does it depends on the load or not? You have to ask yourself. So in voltage source inverters, what means, you are varying the output voltage by providing the switching pulses, and it depends on the input side voltage, so it does not depend on the load, so it is independent of the load. I think both Chandan Verma and Trupti have given the correct answer. So it is independent of the load. So now let us comes to the next question. This question is also for wind power system. So this question, what it is asking, a 40-meter diameter 3-bladed wind turbine produces 700 kilowatt at a wind speed of 14 meter per second. The air density is 1.225 kg per meter cube. Find the rotational speed of the rotor at a tip speed ratio of 5.0. So I will just give some hint so that you can try. So we have given the radius of wind turbine as 20 meter, and we have given output power as 20 kilowatt, and the wind speed you can also tell it as the free wind speed, that is u naught, given as 14 meter per second. The air density is 1.225 kg per meter cube, and we have this number of blades. You can also write it as, denote it as n, number of blades given as 3. So actually it is not required. If you have to find the optimal tip speed ratio, then you need to calculate this number of blades. You need this number of blades also. And we have tip speed ratio, it is denoted by lambda. So the tip speed formula is lambda is r omega divided by u naught. So actually what happens for variable wind speed turbine, if the wind is not flowing at the rated speed, so what we do, we operate it at that speed, so that we can get the optimal tip speed ratio, so that we can get the optimum power from the wind turbine, maximum power from the wind turbine. And you can write this omega is given, omega is rotational speed, that is given in radian per second. And you can also write this omega as 2 pi n divided by 60, such that you will get the rotational speed in rpm. This one is r is rotor radius, lambda is tip speed ratio. So now we just need to find this n. I think now you are able to solve this question. So anyone got the answer for this question? 33.42 RPM. Okay, Subha. Chandan Verma 3.5 RPM. So she has given the correct answer. So 33.442 ampere is the correct answer. So just put the tip speed ratio given as 5.0. We have given radius 20 meter, and you can type 2 pi n divided by 60, and we have given u naught as 14 meter per second. So you will get n as if you cut this, how much, 3, so you 20 3 is 60, then you get n as 14 into 15 divided by 2 pi. So this comes out to be 7 into 15 divided by 2 pi. So 105, sorry, divided by pi, that comes out to be 33.42 RPM. So the correct answer is B. Now in this question, if anyone has asked that what should the optimal tip speed ratio, so the optimal tip speed ratio formula is, I just want to tell you so that if that type of question comes in exam, then you might be able to answer that. Optimal tip ratio should be 4 pi divided by n. N is the number of blades. So this is the formula for optimal tip speed ratio. So now let us see this last question of this session. So this question this question is from the 3-phase full bridge rectifier. So here the question is, a 3-phase full converter feeds to an R load of 10 ohm for a firing angle delay of 30 degree. The load takes 5 kilowatt. An inductor of large value is also connected to the load to make the current ripple free. Find the value of per phase input voltage. Here I have not given the options, so you can type your answer directly in the chat box. I will just tell you the formula for this question also. Meanwhile, you can also solve parallelly with me. 3 phase full wave rectifier with R load. So if the firing angle is less than 60 degree and it will be less than 60 degrees, so the formula is V naught is 3 VML divided by pi cos alpha. For alpha is given as less than 60 degree, and for the alpha greater than 60 degree, this formula is 3 VML divided pi 1 plus cos alpha plus pi by 3 for 60 degree to 120 degree. So in this question, this one is applicable because firing angle is given as 30 degree. So now we were able to solve this question. No one got the answer. So we have alpha as 30 degree and we have P naught given as 5 kilowatt. And we have given R, that is 10 ohm. So you can write P naught as V naught square divided by R. So you will get V naught as under root 50,000 watt. So now you just put this V naught in the first number equation, that is 3 VML divided by pi cos alpha. Did anyone get the answer? So VML is the maximum of line to line voltage, so you can write it as root 2 into RMS value of line voltage, root 2 into VL divided by pi into cos alpha cos 30 degree. So you can get the RMS value of line voltage, root 50,000 into pi divided by divided by 3 into root 2. Cos 30 is root 3 divided by 2. So now we calculate what it comes out to be. I got one answer 270 volt. Subhash Sarmini. Anyone else? At least you should try. Means only I can see 2 or 3% is responding in today's session. So this comes out to be 191.2 volt. So but here it is asking per phase input voltage. So this is not the correct answer. So phase voltage will be VL divided by root 3. So VL is given as 191 volt divided by root 3. So it comes out to be 110.27 volt. So this is the answer for this last question. Is there any doubt? If you have any doubt from the today's session, you can ask. You can also ask doubt from the last session and the assignments you have already submitted, the last 3 assignments. And please go through this live tutorial session slides. You can also find it on YouTube. If you have any problem, you can ask there also in doubt section and in this discussion forum also. I am also plotting these slides so you can easily see the solution of this question. If you face their problem in understanding this solution, you can ask me. So if you don't have any doubt from today's session or any other types of doubt, I will close this session. Okay, thank you all for joining this session, and we will meet. Okay, so last solution once. Subhash Sarmini. Here it is. Thank you all for joining this session. We will meet next week at the same time. Thank you all.